Some days you're focused, other days you're distracted. But over time, as you keep choosing God, your habits begin to change. You become more intentional with your time. You waste less energy on things that don't matter. You start following through on what you begin. Discipline in your spiritual life begins to spill into every other area. Your work, your mindset, your routines. You become someone who doesn't just talk about change, you live it consistently. Change 7. Your perspective on life completely shifts. Before putting God first, it's easy to see life through a limited lens. Problems feel like setbacks. Delays feel like failures. Pain feels pointless. But when God becomes your foundation, your perspective starts to expand. You begin to see that there's purpose even in the hard seasons. You may not understand everything, but you trust that there's meaning behind it. That nothing is wasted. That even challenges are shaping you into something stronger. Instead of constantly asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin to ask, "What is God doing through this?" And that shift changes everything. Because now, you're not just going through life, you're growing through it. When you put God first, your life doesn't become perfect, but it becomes aligned. Your priorities become clear instead of chaotic. Anxiety begins to loosen its grip as trust grows stronger. Your decisions become wiser because you're no longer rushing. Your relationships shift as God refines your circle. Your identity becomes stable instead of fragile. Discipline begins to shape your daily life, and your perspective transforms, allowing you to see purpose where you once saw problems. These changes don't always happen instantly, but they happen consistently. And over time, they completely reshape the direction of your life. If this message spoke to you, take a moment and respond. Comment below, "God, I choose you first," as a declaration over your life. Share this with someone who needs a reset in their priorities, and stay connected for more messages that help you grow spiritually and walk with purpose. Putting God first is not about losing control. It's about placing your life in the hands of the one who already sees the full picture. Matthew 6 verse 33 says, "Seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things will be added to you." That means when God is first, you're not falling behind. You're being positioned exactly where you need to be. Predict every problem and carry every burden, it becomes overwhelming fast. But when you put God first, you're making a decision to trust Him with what you cannot control. That doesn't mean your problems disappear, but it means they're no longer sitting on your shoulders alone. Instead of holding everything in your mind, you begin to bring it to God consistently, not just when things fall apart, but daily. You release it again and again, even when it tries to come back. Peace doesn't always come instantly, but it grows steadily. And over time, the same situations that used to overwhelm you no longer have the same power over your mind. Change 3. Your decisions become wiser. When God isn't at the center, decisions are often driven by emotions, pressure, or impatience. You might rush into things because they feel right in the moment, or because you're afraid of missing out. But when you put God first, you begin to slow down. You stop making choices just based on how you feel, and you start seeking direction. You begin to care less about immediate results, and more about lasting impact. This means learning to pause, learning to wait, learning to ask, "Is this aligned with where God is leading me?" Over time, you notice something different. You make fewer decisions you regret. You begin to walk in wisdom instead of reaction. Change 4. Your relationships start to shift. One of the most noticeable changes happens in your relationships. When God becomes your priority, your standards change. The way you love people changes. The way you respond to conflict changes. You become more patient, more understanding, more willing to forgive. But at the same time, you also become more discerning. You start to recognize which relationships are building you, and which ones are draining you. Not everyone will understand your growth. Some people may even distance themselves when you begin to change, and that can be uncomfortable. But when you trust God with your relationships, you stop forcing connections that aren't meant to last. You allow Him to remove what no longer fits, and strengthen what does. The right relationships will grow with you, not pull you away from who you're becoming. Change 5. Your identity becomes stronger. Without God at the center, it's easy to build your identity on unstable things. What people think of you, how successful you are, how you compare to others. And when those things shift, your confidence shifts with them. But when you put God first, your identity begins to root itself in something unchanging. You start to understand who you are beyond opinions, beyond performance, beyond external validation. This doesn't happen overnight. It comes from spending time with God and aligning your thoughts with truth instead of insecurity. As that happens, something inside you stabilizes. You're not constantly questioning your worth anymore. You're not chasing approval in the same way. You begin to walk with quiet confidence, not because of who you are on your own, but because of who you are in Him. Change 6. Your discipline begins to grow. Putting God first isn't just a one-time decision. It's a daily commitment. And that commitment starts to build discipline in your life. At first, it might feel inconsistent. Change 1. Your priorities become clear. When God isn't first, life feels crowded. Everything demands your attention at the same time. Your goals, your responsibilities, other people's expectations, your own desires. And when everything feels important, nothing is truly in order. But when you put God first, something powerful happens. Your priorities begin to organize themselves. You start to see clearly what actually matters and what doesn't. Things that once felt urgent lose their grip, and things that truly matter rise to the surface. You don't have to figure everything out at once. Start by giving God the first part of your day, not the leftovers. Even a few intentional moments shift your focus before the world starts pulling at you. Clarity replaces confusion. You stop feeling scattered, and you begin to move with purpose instead of pressure. Change 2. Your anxiety begins to lose its power. Anxiety thrives when you feel like everything depends on you. When you try to control every outcome. A lot of people say they put God first. But if you really stop and think about it, what does that actually look like in real life? Not just in what you believe or what you say, but in how you live day to day. Your decisions, your priorities, and the way you handle what comes your way. Because a lot of people love God, yet still feel overwhelmed, stuck, or empty. The truth is, it's possible to believe in God without fully surrendering to Him. But when you make the decision to put Him first, above your plans, your emotions, and your fears, everything begins to shift. Today, I'm going to walk you through 7 things that change when you put God first. These are real, life-altering shifts that affect how you think, how you live, and how you move through every situation.